Somewhere in the jungle, a monkey screams. Miles beneath the ocean, a whale begins to sing. In a forest, wolves raise their heads to the sky and harmonize in eerie unison. And in your living room, your cat just stares at you, silent, but undeniably saying something. What if these aren't random sounds? What if they're messages? Not bark, not chirp, but something closer to language? For centuries, we believed we were alone in our ability to communicate meaningfully. But what if we were wrong? What if we've been surrounded by conversations all along? We just never knew how to listen. Because the truth is, animals talk to each other, to us, with voices we didn't expect, and in codes we never cracked. This isn't just a documentary. This is your invitation to step into a secret world, a world that's been whispering beneath our feet, between our walls, and through the air we breathe. And once you hear it, you'll never unhear it again. If you've ever locked eyes with an animal and felt something pass between you, hit subscribe. You're closer to the truth than you think. Let's start with what we do know, or at least what science admits. Communication is not just the act of making sound, it's the exchange of information, it's intent, it's emotion. And animals? Oh, they do it all with stunning precision. Birds sing elaborate songs, not just to attract mates, but to declare territory. Bees use complex flight patterns to describe the direction and distance to flowers. Cuttlefish flash rapidly shifting colors to flirt, to threaten, to hide in plain sight. Ants leave behind invisible scent trails, instructions in chemical form, for others to follow. But it goes deeper. Elephants rumble with sounds too low for human ears, carrying vibrations miles underground. Frogs pulse their throats to sync with neighbors, like organic metronomes. Even fireflies, yes, fireflies, flash light in precise rhythms, like blinking Morse code under the stars. Nature doesn't speak with lips, it speaks with feathers, with flashes, with footfalls, and every species is born fluent in its own tongue. Maybe the real question isn't, do animals communicate? Maybe it's, how have we missed it for so long? If you're starting to realize you've been surrounded by signals all your life, hit subscribe, because the next chapter will reveal languages that sound like pure magic. Let's take a journey into the extraordinary. Not science fiction, not fantasy, just nature at its most mysterious. Imagine a honeybee dancing in the dark hive. She's just returned from a flower patch miles away, but instead of shouting, she dances. A figure eight, a waggle, a tiny loop. She tells her sisters exactly where to go, how far, in what direction, based on the position of the sun. And they understand her instantly. Now picture a herd of elephants. One matriarch stomps softly, no sound for us to hear. But a message is sent through the ground. Miles away, another elephant feels the tremor through its feet. It turns its head, it knows. Or wolves, their howls aren't random cries to the moon. They're layered, harmonized. Each pitch, each pause says something. I'm here. You're safe. I'm grieving. And don't forget the cuttlefish, the ocean's shape shifter. Its skin becomes a canvas of color and pulse. It flashes red in anger, iridescent green in attraction. It doesn't speak, it performs. These are not just instincts, they are languages. Imagine a gorilla signing her feelings, not just mimicking, but expressing. Her name was Coco, and she changed everything. Coco wasn't taught tricks, she was taught language. Over 1,000 signs from American Sign Language. She formed sentences, she made jokes, she loved kittens. When her kitten died, Coco signed sad, bad, frown, cry. She didn't just react, she grieved. Is that not communication? Or take Alex, the African grey parrot who stunned the scientific world. He could label colours, count objects, distinguish shapes. When shown a tray with green and red blocks, he didn't just squawk randomly. He said, 3 green. And then, one day, he asked something no animal had ever asked before. What colour am I? That's not memory, that's curiosity, that's self-awareness. And let's talk dolphins. In an experiment, 2 dolphins were separated. Only one received the command to do a synchronized trick. They didn't hesitate. One looked at the other, and they performed perfectly. How? They communicated with sounds we can't hear, gestures we can't decode. These aren't tricks. These are glimpses of something bigger, something we don't fully understand. We think we observe animals, but in truth, they've been observing us. Dogs don't just hear our words, they feel our tone. Say, good boy, in a harsh voice, and watch him shrink. Say, bad dog, in a loving tone, and he wags his tail. They listen between the words, to energy, to vibration, to intention. Horses have been shown to detect human heart rates. Even from a distance, cows remember faces, especially those who treated them gently, or not. And cats? Oh, cats know. They track our routines, anticipate movements, and, according to some studies, even understand cause and effect. In one experiment, dogs were shown two versions of their owners, one smiling, one frowning. They chose the smiling one every single time. They read emotions. They don't speak our language, but they've spent generations decoding it. It's not magic, it's mirroring. A feedback loop of empathy and survival. They know when we're angry, when we're anxious, when we're about to leave, and maybe they know even more. If you've ever had the feeling your pet knows exactly what you're thinking, hit that subscribe button, because next, we listen in on wild conversations we were never meant to hear. The animal kingdom doesn't just communicate, it broadcasts, but the messages, they're terrifyingly specific. Let's start in the African savannah. Meerkats scan the skies. Suddenly, one lets out a chirp. Not a scream, not a bark, just a chirp. Every meerkat freezes. Why? That chirp means danger from above. If it were a trill, it would mean danger from the ground. Then there are monkeys. Certain species have different alarm calls for leopards, snakes, and eagles. And get this, they change their reaction based on the call. Snake, stand and stare. Eagle, run for cover. That's not instinct, that's vocabulary. But the real jaw-dropper? Prairie dogs. They use a language so complex that researchers recorded them describing a human intruder as tall, thin, wearing a blue shirt. Yes, animals describing color, size, shape, and even speed in squeaks. We used to think these were just sounds, noise, but science is now showing us something staggering. Their sentences, their descriptions, and most of all, they're intentional. So next time you hear a bird call or a squirrel chirp, ask yourself, what did it just say? For the first time in human history, we're no longer satisfied with guessing how animals feel. Now, we want to know. We want to translate. We want to speak back. Artificial intelligence is entering the jungle, the ocean, the barn. Researchers are feeding thousands of hours of dolphin sounds into AI models, not just to recognize patterns, but to decipher meaning. Every whistle, every click could be a word or even a sentence, but that's just the beginning. Smart collars now measure heart rate, body position, even tail movement, and translate them into real-time emotional feedback. Playful, stressed, lonely, apps claim to interpret your cat's meow, and while some are just for fun, others, veterinarians, have confirmed these devices are sometimes more accurate than their own initial readings. Imagine a world where your dog can say, "I'm scared," and you hear it. Where a herd of elephants approaching a village sends out a warning signal, and a ranger miles away understands it in time. Where cows in factory farms no longer suffer in silence because someone is finally listening. It's not science fiction anymore. It's the next chapter in human-animal connection. Maybe animals don't talk like us, but maybe, just maybe, they're saying more than we ever have. When a dog rests its head on your lap without a sound, it's not silence, it's a message. I'm here, I see you, you're not alone. When a bird sings before sunrise, it isn't just calling for a mate, it's announcing, I survived the night, a song of existence. And when a whale stays beside its dying calf for days, singing softly, that's not instinct, that's mourning. We, humans, speak in paragraphs, but we often say nothing. Animals speak in presence, in posture, in emotion. They don't write poems, but they express awe. They don't give speeches, but they show loyalty that puts us to shame. They don't lie, they don't pretend, they just are. Maybe they don't speak our language because they don't need to, because in their silence is something we've forgotten. Clarity, purity, truth. And if we stop demanding words, we might finally hear the wisdom that's been waiting for us all along. For centuries, we've asked, how do we make animals talk to us? But maybe we were asking the wrong question all along. What if they've been talking this whole time? What if we're the ones who never learned to listen? A dog doesn't text you, but when you cry, it doesn't leave. It lays down beside you. That's not training, that's love. A horse doesn't post status updates, but it mirrors your fear, your hesitation. It feels you. That's not coincidence, that's intuition. And a dolphin, it doesn't speak in words, but it looks at you, deep, long. And in that look, there's intelligence, curiosity, maybe even a question. We've built cities, rockets, satellites. But animals, they've mastered something we're only beginning to remember. how to live in the moment, how to be present, how to feel deeply and without shame. Maybe animals don't lack language, maybe we lack quiet. They're not voiceless, we've been deaf until now. If this journey opened your eyes or your heart, leave a like, share your thoughts in the comments, and hit subscribe, because this might be the first time you truly started to listen.